Prime 1. I swear, this company is just out to get us at this point. You might remember a few months ago where I did a video where I expressed my frustration at the company on this guy right here, this big Chap statue. Basically that boiled down to them not properly designing the packaging for him, leaving me and a lot of others with broken big Chaps. While that is bad enough, it got worse. They only had replacement parts for a select few customers, leaving myself and many others either stuck with a broken statue or the option to send it back, which who knows if we would have been charged $300 in shipping to send it back to them. Some were helped. A select few at the beginning were helped with replacements, while others like me were left high and dry. To add to it, any complaints on either their Instagram or Facebook would get you blocked and the comments deleted. So only positive posts were allowed by the company. So if you look at a Prime 1 deal, it's all, oh, this is amazing and this is fantastic, whatever. Well, they just delete any criticisms and then block you. Great customer service, right? So let's fast forward a few months to just a couple days ago, where they announced, incredibly, they announced the same statue, this statue, with a different base. A base, I might add, that people had asked for since the beginning of the announcement of this initial release. Although personally I like this wall one more, but a lot of collectors didn't want one. You can also take off the back wall of this one. But regardless, you heard right, P1 is basically recasting their own statue and re-releasing it for more sales just a few months after telling me and everyone else who bought their first one that there are no replacements to be had and giving us the shaft. So something that had an established limited edition of a few hundred in total is now getting re-released. I think it was like 450 or whatever, is now getting released just a few months later with Lord knows how big of an edition size for this production. So yeah, they refused to help me and many others out with our damaged big Chaps, yet a few months later start pumping out the same piece for new customers. Fuck them. Like, I don't even have words at this point. On top of that, they're completely tearing down the standard and the point of what a limited edition statue is. The whole structure of this hobby is based on a limited edition size and availability for a particular piece. Because let's face it, otherwise there really isn't much value here. There really isn't. This stuff is way overpriced. The actual materials and cost of producing these pieces boils down to something that should sell for a fraction of what we pay. To do this 5 or 10 years down the road from this guy would be bad enough. I'm looking at you, Hollywood Collectibles. But to do this on the heels of the first one is insanity. And to be honest, there's not many of us that would have jumped on a piece had we known that the company would just continue to re-release the same statue time and again. Yeah, it has a different base, but it's the same statue, guys. It's the same big Chap. They didn't change the pose or anything. And someone brought up the point that Hot Toys does this, but that doesn't count. Because Hot Toys never gives you an edition size. None of the pieces are numbered. That's an apples to oranges comparison. It's also a product that comes close to about a tenth of the cost of what these are. Hot Toys doing additional runs of figures years later is no different than NECA doing the same thing. Since neither company states how many will be made in the first place, it sucks, but it is what it is. And there are people who say that edition sizes don't really matter. That if you really love a piece, then you would pay for it what you would pay for it regardless because you love the piece. To this, I disagree personally. If this had an edition size of 200,000, I would have passed on it, just as many others would. And as far as any notion that that concern is based on resale for me is also highly inaccurate. It has to do with not wanting a collection full of things that literally everyone else has. In my opinion, people who say that they don't care about, edition sizes are effectively okay with there being 5 billion of something being made, and that's just not the collector I am. That's just not me. It's okay if that's what you are, but that's not me. And it's not me because I want my collection to be different. And there are far too many amazing artists out there who are putting out incredible non-mass produced pieces for me to give my attention and money to that versus something that there's tens of thousands of, let's say. We use artists that like into effects like Matt McNeil, and the list goes on and on. But it's crazy to be giving these large companies like P1 all of this money, and I wouldn't do it if they're just going to keep on re-releasing the same statue that they have. But to be clear, this is not even close to being my main anger about what they did to me or doing to me and others like me. To get hung up on edition size is chump change to how shady as fuck this is. I now have a damaged statue that I have to live with, while others will get a new one, and likely there will be more replacements made for them, so if there is a breakage, they'll be taken care of. In addition to that, the new one is likely going to have a revision to the foam packaging that mine doesn't. So if I did ever even want to sell this thing, I can't, because it won't make a trip without it being broken, while other people who get this next edition size will be able to do. So we all got the shaft, while others are getting taken care of. Prime 1, their business practices have been terrible as of late, but this is a new low, even for them. To do this to us collectors, to us people who fund their company, to buy us who faithfully buy these pieces, probably 20 or so P1 pieces that I bought. It's just a real kick in the teeth. I don't understand what the logic is. Had this have been a big chap that's a different size, or if he had a different pose or something, okay, yeah, that's part of it. There's going to be other big chaps released, but it's if it's the same fucking statue, except it has a base without a fucking wall on it, just a couple months after this one is released and sold out, is fucked up. And it's fucked up especially for people like me who had to basically eat these because they didn't make enough to supply us with spares to fix the ones that are damaged from their packaging flaw, not from shipping or anything like that. It's their failure at packaging that caused this issue, and their refusal to even run a small production for us who had the so many of us that had these statues that are broken. Yet they turn around months later and all of a sudden, oh no, we're gonna do like a new statue, guys. Like, what are you doing it now? Like, what happened to us? What the fuck happened to us? This fucking hobby has turned to shit. I fucking hate what this hobby has become, what these companies are fucking doing, and the fact that we fucking support them. It's gotta fucking stop. I don't ever really curse on my videos, and you know that. It's just, I just don't curse. But this has me outright fucking fuming at the fucking balls of Prime 1. It's bullshit. As always, I never fucking delete any comments. If you want to leave a comment, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. whether you think it's a good thing, whether you think it's a bad thing. I can't see this as anything other than fucking collectors over. Tell me I'm wrong. I would like to know how I'm wrong. I don't see it, because it certainly seems like I just got F'd in the A pretty hard.